All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I have the great pleasure of interviewing Fiona. I'm going to do a very brief introduction, as I always like my guests to introduce themselves, because, you know, a buyer's never going to explain in detail kind of what they do. But Fiona is, she's obviously a pioneer in coaching in Europe. You know, her book, Be Your Own Life Coach, was an instant bestseller. That was in 2000. And she's brought coaching to the public, basically, with newspaper, magazines, columns, TV, and all sorts of radio appearances. The Daily Mail called her the Queen Bee of coaching, and the Times one of the new gurus. She's worked in schools, with public figures, in prisons, and with thousands and thousands of clients. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Fiona for quite a few years. She spoke at the expo. I think was it the first one, Fiona? Maybe one of the first ones you
Definitely.
spoke?
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
And then from then on, she supported us, and we worked together in a program called Turning Pro, where she's been training some of my clients and my customers into what she does so well. So Fiona, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Bernardo. Thanks for having me. And hello to everybody who's here. Sorry, I was late myself to my own interview. But yeah, delighted to be here.
It's fine. Thank you so much. And Fiona, in your words, I mean, you know, you have an amazing life. You've had an amazing life. You know, you've obviously, like many of us, you've had your ups and downs. You've had your turning points. You've hit rock bottom, and from then, you know, all sorts of opportunities. Tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Oh, jeepers creepers. I mean, for those of you who don't know me, I started coaching a very long time ago, before coaching was even thought of as coaching. I called it self-esteem consulting, to distinguish it from therapy or counseling. So I guess I was really working as a general life coach for quite a few years. The first book, Be Your Own Life Coach, came out in 2000. So I think what I wanted to share on this call today is maybe my greatest learnings and how that could be useful for everyone here, because it's really relevant to the industry that most of us are in, that service industry. I guess there's nothing like success to make you complacent. So I got very complacent with my success. I've always been good at getting in the media. So which meant I had columns in the Daily Mail and the Independent and the Daily Mirror and magazines. And I was on TV and radio quite a lot, which meant I had a constant flow of clients. And I had a consultancy, so I had coaches working with me. So I really didn't have to do any marketing whatsoever. And then I decided that maybe I needed to take a break from coaching. So I just walked away from it and decided I would be a fiction writer. So I went off to my ivory tower for a couple of years. That did not work out at all. Nobody was remotely interested in what I was doing, and I was pretty bored with it myself. So I came back to coaching in 2011. And what I discovered was I was coming back to a different world. And I was coming back to a world that was post credit crunch. And what I found was that people were no longer buying general life coaching, because they were much more cautious about spending money. Because remember, you know, they'd lost value in their homes and their savings, or if anybody had shares, they had gone as well. So access to credit was gone. 100% mortgages. So the world had become a lot more fearful, and people were just a lot more concerned and cautious about spending money. So I think it's really useful to share that with everybody here, because if you haven't had that experience of the difference between people buying something like general life coaching and being happy to invest in it, and then just not, you may not realize just what shifted. And what shifted was that people would pay to have a problem solved, and an important problem solved. So the big learning for me, because I was in a really extreme state. I'd spent all my savings, all the equity in my home, had to move out of my home. I was still responsible for my son at that time. He was just, you know, I don't know, 15 or something at the time. So we went through a really difficult, rocky time. And I figured out pretty quickly that I needed to change what I was offering people. And I needed to step up and offer to solve problems. So I went from being a general life coach and helping people fulfill their dreams and make their dreams come true, to solving people's pressing problems in a very specific and tangible way. And once I started to do that, that really attracted people because they could see the return on the investment very quickly. And that really changed everything. And I went from not generating any income at all to generating, well, selling 22 programs at 6,000 over 6 weeks. So I was back in business again. So I think I wanted to share that to really reinforce the importance of having a solution so that you are helping people solve problems in a very specific and tangible way. And you have to make sure that that problem that you're solving really, really exists. It's not something that you think people should do or might want. It's got to be something that for them matters a great deal. So that was my first big low, really.
And I think that's, so we were talking about, you were talking about the industry and for example, you know, kind of, and I use the word industry a lot. So it's just, you know, the business of personal professional growth, the well-being one, you know, people, professionals that are servicing others, individuals, or even other professionals, you know, like coaches and things to help them move forward and improve and enhance their careers. The thing is, a lot of the times what happens is that people have this passion to go out and help people. Mm-hmm. But there's two things that might be missing. One is that they don't really necessarily look into the fact that people might not want it, you know, so they're really passionate about what they have to offer, but there's no one interested in buying it. And the second part is that a lot of people that maybe do come up with a great idea that people might want, that people need, you know, they need help, they need to, you know, they need someone to support them with the pain they're going through. They don't necessarily know how to market themselves or get out in the media. Isn't that the case?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's really what I spend most of my time doing now, is working with other coaches, consultants, and experts in this whole field to help them put what they do into as few words as possible and make sure that those words really land with people very quickly. You know, one of the keys that has given me a lot of success over the years, and honestly given me everything from the get-go, given me book deals, given me speaking opportunities, and brought me clients quickly, was getting in the media. So I don't mean online, I mean regular old-fashioned newspapers that you hold in your hand and read. Newspapers, magazines, television, radio. Because they don't just position you instantly in front of thousands and millions of potential clients, your ideal clients, but they also do something that social media doesn't really do. And they confer an authority on you instantly, because people still believe what they read in the papers. People still place great store by having a magazine or a newspaper acclaim you, say that you are this coach or that you were this person, whatever. So I help people get in the media because it can catapult their business, in my experience, like nothing else. And I also make sure that they have a clear message, because when people come, a clear marketing message, when people come to your website, you have up to 7 seconds to show them that you can help solve their problem. So people's attention span is just getting shorter and shorter. In fact, that 7 seconds may now even be 4 seconds. Yeah. So you've got to get people at hello or possibly not at all. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I've identified is that I think there's a lot of people that, and I understand that, you know, either the people that are, for example, attending the expo, or the people that are watching this webinar today, you know, are probably in different parts. Some of them might be on their journey of self-discovery and trying to find answers, and others might be professionals which are really looking at, or maybe in a transitional period where they're looking at changing completely what they're doing in order to kind of move forward. What would you say for someone that is in this, because there's a lot of curious people that are in that. I think that they are in that transition period. The beauty of us, if we're into personal, professional growth, we're sponges, aren't we? We're always open to learn something new. But for those that are in transitional period, what would you suggest are the best ways to kind of, I don't know, find your purpose? What would be the best way in order to live a fulfilled life? What could one do?
I think it's really simple, honestly. I think people complicate it. I think that you just simply have to look at the God-given gifts that you were given, the talents that you came into this world with. Now, obviously, we have to refine those talents. We've got to bring them out. We've got to identify them. But, they're there, good Lord, for all to see. You've had them from day one. And I think if you get clear on how you can use those talents, and also you got to get clear on who you want to help. It's no point looking at a gap in the market and going for those people if you don't have an affinity with those people, if you don't genuinely want to help those people. I genuinely want to help all those people out there who have great intentions and are really good at what they do and want to make a difference in the world, but they just don't know how to position themselves to present themselves in the most positive and captivating way. So I think you just got to care about what you're doing and just get clear about it. I think you just got to look at what you feel enthusiastic about, and also ask yourself, what you would do if you didn't have to earn money. What would you do for free? What would you do all day long? What would you do if you won the lottery? After you've had your big holiday, done your shopping,
and bought the car and the house.
All of those things.
That's great advice, Fiona. And I've got to say that's one of the things that I also know that and have experienced many times, is that a lot of people try to do these things alone, and it's very difficult. You have obviously phenomenal expertise of many years where you can just look at someone, see someone, and you can see what they can't see themselves, because you've been there. You can see the skill sets that they have, and you can bring that out on people. But isn't that it, that we all need support, we all need help, we all need a coach, a mentor?
Well, I think sometimes, honestly, we are our own worst enemies, and we downplay ourselves and we undermine ourselves, and we don't see the talents and the skills that we have and how useful they are. So definitely, if we're in the business of selling something like coaching, then really we need to be walking that talk, and we need to be having our own coach without a shadow of doubt to be fueling us. I mean, there's nothing like having that additional support and being accountable as well. But I also want to say one thing, Bernardo. Sometimes you can get so caught up in that business of what you're doing, you can almost lose sight of what brought you to it in the first place, of that early motivation and that early passion and that love for it. And that definitely happened to me 3 years ago. And I just noticed that I had become so fixated on the business of making the business work and making money, that the joy for what I did was actually diminishing. And it felt it actually felt such a grind. And I got to the point where I said to myself, what on earth am I missing? How can life be so difficult? How can it be such a struggle, really? And I had a big shift, and I saw some things overnight. And what I really saw, well, I'm going to tell you what happened. What happened was something shifted in me, and I started to make money very quickly and very easily. It was extraordinary. And I never even noticed it was happening until my assistant called me up about 2 weeks later and said, what on earth are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, have you any idea how much money you've made? And I said, well, I haven't. I really haven't counted it up. It was something crazy, like £46,000. And I sat down and I tried to analyze what had happened. And what had happened was that I had shifted. My motivation had shifted from, how can I sell to you? How can I make money from this conversation, from this call, from this interaction, to how can I help you? What do you need? How can I serve you? So It might sound small, but it was humongous, the change. Please don't take my word for it, people who are on the call tonight. Try it. Really look at your motivation. And it's awfully easy to come from a place of fear and become overly focused on the money and how much money you're going to make from that interaction, that person, that client. And the problem with that is that people can feel it. And it's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling to feel that someone's motivation is not really sincerely about your well-being, your success, your progress, but actually about how much money they can make from you. And it's so easy to fall into that place without even noticing, because I definitely had done so, which means that making money is a heck of a struggle. Now, you can work crazy like I did, and you can still make money, but boy, oh boy, it's a heck of a struggle. And you could get tired, and you could even get burnt out. So life is much easier in my experience, and you're likely to make money in a much easier way and feel so much better if you shift your motivation and you just keep thinking, who needs my help today? Because that's going to show you your path if you keep asking that question. And when you are having interactions with people, and you keep on checking your motivation so that you're coming from this place of, how can I serve? How can I help you? What do you need? How can I help you? Oh, it's a much nicer way to feel. It's a much nicer place to come from. So I wanted to share that with everyone tonight, because it made a monumental difference in my life. Not just, it wasn't just that I made more money really quickly. It was that the struggle had completely gone. Completely gone. It was effortless.
Well, that's great advice. I struggle with, I struggle with well, having been in people and that there is a lot of incongruency with people that, I don't know, I've seen people promoting workshops around happiness, and they've been the grumpiest people that I've met in my life, and thinking, oh my God, you should read your own book. So I understand what you're saying, that you've got to follow something that, motivates you, that fills your heart. But I also think that, I think for those that are on the side of, I'm in the business of helping others, I'm serving others, I think also we need to step our level of professionalism. We had the pleasure of doing the expo in London last year and in Long Beach. Everyone loves the best you in. We're going back to the US at the end of this year, hopefully. So everyone loves the brand. And what I've identified between the difference between the Americans and obviously the English Europeans is that, these guys really take themselves seriously. That when we talk about, oh my God, I'm commuting from London to Leeds. I mean, these guys commute from Miami to so they're so much more professional. And not only that, they are realizing that they see themselves as brands. They invest and present themselves as brands. And I keep finding, if I told you in these last 4 years, we probably must have had more than 3,500, 4,000 applications or 5,000 applications. And a very, very small percentage of them have taken action to get involved in speaking, exhibiting, sharing their expertise, because they don't see themselves. They don't take themselves seriously. Do you find that, Fiona, that a lot of people don't, that they want to, but they just don't take action?
Well, they may well take action, but I think that possibly their marketing lets them down a little bit. And I honestly, one of the greatest advantages I think I've ever had is that I genuinely, honestly have had a lifelong fear of boring people. That's the absolute truth. I think it was to do with my birth, because my midwife was in a rush to get to the bingo. So I was born into this atmosphere of, hurry up. So I genuinely have always had a concern about taking up people's time and people's attention. So I've always made a phenomenal effort to think, well, how could I interest you? What is it that you need that would make me really interesting to you. And it's absolutely the reason that I've been effective, good at getting into the media. I never for one second thought that assumed that a journalist would automatically be interested in me or what I did. So I always put myself in the head of the other person, of that journalist, thinking, now, wait a minute, what problem do you have? What do you need? How can I make your life easier and better? So that means that I've always been terrifically focused on the other person's problem. And if we could just remember that, I think it would help enormously. That also translates into the words that you use. You've got to be able to grab people at hello and then keep holding their attention through the words that you use. So I think it's really the marketing, and that's a discipline of being really being concerned about the other person and how you can help them and how you can get their attention, how you can join in the conversation that they're already having in their head.
I agree. I would like a higher level of professionalism. That's what I would like from the UK or the English market in comparison. You know, we're obviously, I believe we're leading the way very much in the UK in comparison to other countries in Europe. I believe so. You know, people fly from all over the world to attend all sorts of seminars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, I remember when I did the first expo, people didn't understand what we were doing, and we've doubled in size. And last year I said, I'm not doing this event again because it was just so much work and so stressful. But then we had 12,500 people show up saying, hey, Bernardo, we get what you're doing. So, you know, people need what we have to offer. So, Fiona, I want to ask you what you're working on now. Mm-hmm. I wanted to then go into what's next, but I would love to then. Sorry, I'm not sure. Did you get that?
Yeah.
What motivates you? What drives you at this point in time?
Okay. Well, I think the next thing that I'm doing is a new book, and I have a slightly different message, some of which I've been touching on here this evening. I've got a slightly different message, an additional message that I want to bring to what I do. I want to share, I guess, the big shift that happened for me 3 years ago, and help people benefit from that as well. Because I find that people are under tremendous stress and tremendous pressure these days, incredible anxiety and fear and insecurity. So I was exactly in that place myself 3 years ago. And I found some things that really worked for me and changed everything overnight that quickly. So that's what the new book is about. Making that really simple for people to understand and apply to their own situations. And of course, once I get that done, then I'll be out there everywhere talking about it and promoting it and all of that. So that's what I'll be up to. Yeah.
What's it called?
If you can I haven't actually completely, finally come to the title, so I can't say.
It's cooking. It's still cooking.
It is actually. You know, the title's the last thing that you sort of do when it comes to the book. You get it all ready to go, and end of the day, it's what you're going to agree on with your publisher, but it's always the last thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Interesting. Well, there you go. There's a tip for you guys. The book is the last thing. One of the things that I share with people that are interested in writing a book, I don't know what your experience is with this, Fiona, and you're very experienced. Fiona, for those of you that haven't seen her speak, well, you're obviously listening to her speak, but I'm just saying is when you see her live, she commands. She's this petite lady that basically commands the stage, you know, and is a true professional. So I remember the first time I saw Fiona, I said, oh my God, she needs to speak at the event. But she's great. But one of the things I wanted to share was that my experiences when I was writing my book, is that as I was writing the book, because it took me, I was working on it for quite some time. One of the things that really worked for me was sharing the ideas of the book on stage and then getting feedback from the public. That really, really helped me, because it really allowed me to see and to understand what was really hitting home, where it was empowering, where I could really reinforce more, where I could maybe extract a little bit more meat or put some more meat into it. So I would really advise, for those of you who are thinking of writing a book, you know, start sharing some of those thoughts, because it will evolve. And that's what I feel a book should do. A book should evolve with time. You know, you might start with an idea or a concept and it changes to something else. So I'm not sure if you agree, but anyway, that's
I sort of do. I sort of do. I think you have to be really careful when you're writing not to talk too much. I remember having this comedian who came to me as a client many years ago. And she said that she had to stop going to dinner parties, because she would come to work the next morning and all her jokes were gone because she'd given them all away the night before. So I think it's good if you have perhaps someone, you know, in my case, it's usually an editor that I'm working with, that you chew things over with. But you've got to be careful not to put it out there too much while you're writing it. Otherwise, you're going to come to the page and it's just not going to be there. Or it'll feel stale because you've actually already put it out there. Does that make sense?
It does. That's great advice. Absolutely. Well, just bear with me. Okay. So what I wanted to ask you now, Fiona, is, so you're going to be speaking at the Best You Expo.
I am.
And I'll share the screen, but I know some of you were asking questions. And I will, if some of you do have some questions for Fiona, please just feel free to put them in the chat and I'll ask them. We're just going to be on for a little bit longer. But
absolutely,
what I wanted to ask you, Fiona, is what will you be sharing at the Best You Expo? What are you going to be talking about?
I am going to be talking about how you position yourself as an expert in your field, how you take your expertise, and there are 5 keys to really position yourself to stand out. Because look, we can all agree on this. You cannot be a secret and a success. So you've got to be willing to be seen, and you've got to take that expertise that you have and that life experience, and you've got to come forward and be willing to position yourself to people. Because in my experience, you cannot succeed if you are the same as everyone else, because your marketplace is crowded. I was very, very lucky 25, 27 years ago when I started out doing coaching. Honest to God, there was me and about 3 other people. I'm not even exaggerating. And I was the one, no disrespect to anyone, but I was the one who was very good at getting out there. So I was seen a lot. Nowadays, it's completely different. Your marketplace is saturated in every industry that all of us are in. So it's healthy to assume that is the case. So you have to be able to stand out. And, you know, it's honestly not about competing with other people. I'm not a great one for that way of thinking. It's about understanding what makes you naturally stand out, what makes you naturally different. Because the truth is, when you are in possession of your story, when you're connected to your story and why you're doing what you're doing, there is no competition, because nobody can ever compete with you and your story. The key is to take your story and connect it to the service that you offer. And then you become instantly interesting and relevant to the people that you want to reach. So I'm going to talk about those 5 ways that you can make yourself naturally stand apart and attract the people that you want to help.
Perfect. Well, that is it's going to be a very exciting talk. You'll have a full room, I'm sure, like always.
So,
and for some of you that were asking about the expo, where, you know, when and where is it? Well, first of all, I have to ask you, where have you been? Okay, because the expo is all over the place, and yes, it's our 4th year. So what I'm doing is I'm literally just sharing my screen very quickly. So some of you that might be interested in finding out about the event. So it's the bestyouexpo.com. If you go to the homepage, then if you just simply click on get involved or the show experience and you click onto speakers, well, there you're going to find all the speakers we have. But this is Fiona's page. You have the title to her talk. You'll have the time, the slots, everything is there. And basically what it is that sorry, I'm just going to change that now.
I think I am speaking at 5 o'clock on the Friday.
If you go to the home page,
and
you're
12
speaking
on the
at 5
Saturday.
o'clock on the Friday. Perfect.
Lovely.
Okay.
And 12 on the Saturday. Yeah.
So that's Friday at 5 o'clock and 12 o'clock on the Saturday. Okay, yeah. Perfect. Well, that's going to be on the web page within the next half an hour. That's all there. We have literally over 180 speakers throughout the 2 days. So it's going to be a phenomenal experience. Great value. Obviously, you know, we had some free tickets, but it's only £10, £15 to attend, £99 for the VIP tickets. But so look, it's just a phenomenal opportunity to meet, you know, leaders in the industry coming from all over the world. We've got a phenomenal lineup, and as I said, it's just subjects related to everything, really, from life to love, to relationships, to wealth, to riches, to passion, to profit, yoga, meditation. So it's pretty much an ongoing thing there throughout the 2 days. As I said, we've doubled in size pretty much from year to year, and in the floor plan, which, you know, you'll get once you download, well, you can see all the different rooms that we have: the health, the best for business, empowering women, very popular. Which rooms are you speaking of, Fiona?
I think I am the Passion to Profit.
Passion to Profit. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, in the Passion to Profit, you'll see also the schedule is also here. If you go to the experience and you click on the schedule, that's going to give you all the necessary information you're going to need related to the event. So let me just see if I'm going to stop sharing here. Let me see if I've got any questions.
I think it's got to be the biggest that you've done, Bernardo. Honestly, I mean, if I wasn't speaking, I would attend, because you've got all those great people from the US as well. It's really, you've done an amazing job this year in particular. Well done, Bernardo.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Fiona. I remember this lady was asking me a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work. And I remember this lady was asking me, and when I did the one in Long Beach, she's American. Obviously, I was being myself with my dry sense of humor, asking, why do you do these events? And I said, I have absolutely no idea why I do them. And she said to me, oh, no, you can't say that. I said, no, I'm only joking. The reason I do, I do them because they're very stressful. But the reason I do them is because they are transformational. We've seen so many people, you know, transform and change their lives. But sometimes it's just meeting someone. It's the right word, walking into the right talk, meeting the right person, you know, and these can, and it can have a phenomenal ripple effect. But this is a place where there's great energy. Everyone's there. And this year we do have a phenomenal lineup. We've got the VIP, we've got the awards on the 15th, which I hope you're going to join us as well. Fiona, we're doing the awards.
Absolutely, yeah, of course.
And it's going to be very busy. So someone's saying, I'm looking forward to Fiona's talk. I enjoyed it tonight. Thank you. Okay, great. Fiona, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Anything that I'd like to add? Oh, no, thank you. And yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to see you. And I've at the event, and I have a stand, and I think it's D7. And my son will be on that stand as well, Jamie. And I'm sure many of you, if you've read my books, will have heard of Jamie and his various escapades. So he'll be there on the stand, and it'll be lovely to meet you in person, face to face.
Well, thank you so much. Everyone, please make sure you come and see Fiona. It's going to be an amazing 2 days. Fiona, thank you so much. See you very soon.
Pleasure.
Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All
Bernardo. All the best.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.